Questioner. Was this a device for communication then? You said they also drew power from it. What type of power? How did this work? Ra. I am Ra. This was charged by means of the materials with which it was built being given an electromagnetic field. It became an object of power in this way, and, to those whose faith became that untarnished by unrighteousness or separation, this power designed for negativity became positive, and is so, to those truly in harmony with the experience of service, to this day. Thus the negative forces were partially successful, but the positively oriented Moisha, as this entity was called, gave to your planetary peoples the possibility of a path to the one infinite creator which is completely positive. This is in common with each of your orthodox religious systems which have all become somewhat mixed in orientation, yet offer a pure path to the one creator which is seen by the pure seeker. Questioner. Where is the Ark of the Covenant now? Where is it located? Ra. I am Ra. We refrain from answering this query due to the fact that it does still exist, and is not that which we would infringe upon your peoples by locating. Questioner. Thank you. In trying to understand the energies, creative energies, it has occurred to me that I really do not understand why unusable heat is generated as our Earth moves from third into fourth density. I know it has to do with disharmony between the vibrations of third and fourth density, but why this would show up as a physical heating within the Earth is beyond me. Can you enlighten me on that? Ra. I am Ra. The concepts are somewhat difficult to penetrate in your language. However, we shall attempt to speak to the subject. If an entity is not in harmony with its circumstances, it feels a burning within. The temperature of a physical vehicle does not yet rise, only the heat of the temper, or the tears, as we may describe this disharmony. However, if an entity persists for a long period of your space/time in feeling this emotive heat and disharmony, the entire body complex will begin to resonate to this disharmony, and the disharmony will then show up as the cancer or other degenerative distortions from what you call health. When an entire planetary system of peoples and cultures repeatedly experiences disharmony on a great scale, the Earth, under the feet of these entities, shall begin to resonate with this disharmony. Due to the nature of a physical vehicle, disharmony shows up as a blockage of growth, or an uncontrolled growth, since the primary function of a mind/body/spirit complex is bodily complexes growth and maintenance. In the case of your planet, the purpose of the planet is the maintenance of orbit, and the proper location or orientation with regards to other cosmic influences. In order to have this occurring properly, the interior of your sphere is hot in your physical terms. Thus, instead of uncontrolled growth, you begin to experience uncontrolled heat, and its expansive consequences. Questioner. Is the Earth solid all the way through from one side to the other? Ra. I am Ra. You may say that your sphere is of an honeycomb nature. The center is, however, solid, if you would so call that which is molten. Questioner. And the honeycomb nature, are there third density incarnate entities living in the honeycombed areas? Are there? Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This was at one time correct. This is not correct at this present space/time. Questioner. And are there any other civilizations or entities living in these areas that are some of the other than physically incarnate, who do come and materialize on the Earth's surface at times? Ra. I am Ra. As we have noted, there are some which do, as you say. Further, there are some inner plane entities of this planet which prefer to do some materialization into third density visible in these areas. There are also bases, shall we say, in these areas of those from elsewhere, both positive and negative. There are abandoned cities. Questioner. What are these bases used for by those from elsewhere? Ra. I am Ra. These bases are used for the work of materialization of needed equipment for communication with third density entities, and for resting places for some equipment which you might call small craft. These are used for surveillance when it is requested by entities. But some of the, shall we say, teachers of the Confederation speak partially through these surveillance instruments along computerized lines, and when information is desired, and those requesting it are of the proper vibratory level, the Confederation entity itself will then speak. Questioner. Am I to understand then that the Confederation entity needs communication equipment and craft to communicate with the third density incarnate entity requesting the information? Ra. I am Ra. This is incorrect. However, many of your peoples request the same basic information in enormous repetition, and for a social memory complex to speak ad infinitum about the need to meditate is a waste of the considerable abilities of such social memory complexes, but some entities have had approved by the Council of Saturn the placement and maintenance of these message givers for those whose needs are simple, thus reserving the abilities of the Confederation members for those already meditating and absorbing information which are then ready for additional information. Questioner. There has been, for the past 30 years, a lot of information and a lot of confusion, and in fact, I would say the law of confusion has been working overtime to make a small joke in bringing information for spiritual catalysis to groups requesting it, and we know that both the positively and the negatively oriented social memory complexes have been adding to this information as they can. This has led to somewhat of a condition of apathy in a lot of cases with respect to the information many who are truly seeking, but have been thwarted by a condition of what I might call spiritual entropy in this information. Can you comment on this and the mechanisms of alleviating these problems? Ra. I am Ra. We can comment on this. Questioner. Only if you deem it to be of importance I would request a comment. If you feel it unimportant we'll skip it. Ra. I am Ra. This information is significant to some degree, as it bears upon our own mission at this time. We of the Confederation are at the call of those upon your planet. If the call, though sincere, is fairly low in consciousness of the, shall we say, system, whereby spiritual evolution may be precipitated, then we may only offer that information useful to that particular caller. This is the basic difficulty. Entities receive the basic information about the original thought and the means, that is meditation and service to others, whereby this original thought may be obtained. Please note that as Confederation members we are speaking for positively oriented entities. We believe the Orion Group has precisely the same difficulty. Once this basic information is received it is not put into practice in the heart and in the life experience, but instead rattles about within the mind complex distortions as would a building block which has lost its place and simply rolls from side to side uselessly, yet still the entity calls. Therefore, the same basic information is repeated. Ultimately the entity decides that it is weary of this repetitive information. However, if an entity puts into practice that which it is given, it will not find repetition except when needed. Questioner. Thank you. Are the chakras or bodily energy centers related to, or do they operate like the pyramid energy funnel? Ra. I am Ra. No. Questioner. Was there a purpose for mummification having to do with anything other than bodily burial? Ra. I am Ra. Much as we would like to speak to you of this distortion of our designs in constructing the pyramid, we can say very little for the intent was quite mixed, and the uses, though many felt them to be positive, were of a non-positive order of generation. We cannot speak upon this subject without infringing upon some basic energy balances between the positive and negative forces upon your planet. It may be said that those offering themselves felt they were offering themselves in service to others. Questioner. What civilization was it that helped try using the pyramid shape while Ra was in third density? Ra. I am Ra. Your people have a fondness for the naming. These entities have begun their travel back to the Creator and are no longer experiencing time. Questioner. The instrument wished to know, when using the pendulum for discovering energy centers, if the back and forth motion meant anything rather than the circular motion. Ra. I am Ra. This shall have to be the final question. Although this entity is still providing us with energy, it is experiencing the distortion towards pain. The rotations having been discussed, we shall simply say that the weak back and forth motion indicates a partial blockage, although not a complete blockage. The strong back and forth motion indicates the reverse of blockage, which is overstimulation of a chakra or energy center which is occurring in order to attempt to balance some difficulty in body or mind complex activity. This condition is not helpful to the entity, as it is unbalanced. Are there any brief queries before we leave this instrument? Questioner. Only is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact? Ra. I am Ra. Be merry, my friends. All is well and your conscientiousness is to be recommended. We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Rejoice, then, and go forth in the peace and in the glory of the one infinite Creator. I am Ra. Adonai.